Hello, this is Devin. I'm here with JC here today. JC is my roommate, and I had her take the assessment a couple days ago. So she got her strengths. JC's top strengths are developer, individualization, empathy, harmony, and consistency. So this is our first coaching session. JC,
Yes.
what do you have any like questions before we get started, or like anything that like came up when you took the assessment?
No, not necessarily. I feel like some of the questions on there though, it's hard. It was hard for me to understand how the questions asked, I got the answer. You know what I mean? Like how the summary was so descriptive, and I was like, wow, how did that come out of the 81 questions I answered?
True. Are you talking about your strengths report that you just got?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have like questions about...
Not necessarily questions. I was just like, it's just mind blowing to me.
Yeah. And I know, like, obviously, you can blow your nose.
No, I was just running.
Okay. The students that I'll have, I won't know. So, like, it's just funny because I won't know, like, what makes their strengths. But you, I know very well, so it's funny, like, when you finally get your 5 strengths, that are your strengths because they explain you to a T.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to start talking to you about them. So, did you read your insight report?
Yes, I have twice.
Were there anything like that really stood out to you and you were like, wow, this really does describe me? Let's start with developer. Okay, so developer is when you want to develop people's weaknesses and turn them into strengths, and you see small parts of potential in them and you want to capitalize on that. And so what does this mean for you?
I think it's basically, I think that I find the best in people in a lot of situations, and yeah, I just think it's really true to who I am, and I think that I work well with people that are different than me because I find everything that they are and find strengths out of it. So I think that I definitely can like see into people's emotions and like kind of like make situations out of them. I don't know how to explain how that really works. Like when I'm talking to somebody and like they're telling me that this has happened and they're feeling this way, like I like find the strengths in them that makes them go through those kind of things. Makes sense.
So if you are dealing with someone that's like maybe like really impatient or like they don't see the potential in themselves, because I know you've dealt with that before, but like how do you handle that?
I think I like a lot of times I just turn to like saying positive statements, so then hoping that their mindset will change and that they will like reconsider and try to like think, oh well, what she just said, yeah, that's true, maybe I should like try again, or like just take a deep breath, or that kind of stuff. I think I'm good at like using my thoughts to try to say them out loud to like influence that person.
Okay. Yeah, I would totally get that. Where do you see this like with developer individually, where do you see this like coming as a strength in your past? Can you think of like a specific time?
Let me think about this. Like me turning weaknesses into strengths?
Yeah, or like seeing potential in someone.
I think I've always had, I think I've had a lot of relationships in my past of people that didn't treat me very well. And I'm a people pleaser, so I think that a lot of times I would try to maintain those relationships just because I didn't want to lose a friend or lose a person in my life. So I would take the time to find their weaknesses and then make them strengths so I could maintain those relationships and hold that bond. So I wouldn't, I just so I could have, it wasn't that I just don't know how to like let people go out of my life. And so I would, even with friends, like with relationships that are like all kinds of relationships. I think I've always done that, and so I think that's just like through my past, through those bad relationships, I learned to make the weaknesses strengths.
Yeah, and the big thing on developers, like seeing the good in, like, a barrier label would be like you wasting time on low performers. So like if someone's not going to put out 100%, people sometimes would look at you and say, why are you wasting your time on this person? So do you see like how it's a strength and not a weakness? Because I know you said like wasting time on someone.
Sometimes
but, like,
I definitely,
But do you see where that like can be a strength?
I do, and I think that everybody, like, I just generally think that everybody deserves a second chance, and that finding strengths out of people. I mean, everybody has strengths, and like sometimes they don't align with what you think, but like that's the point of the world, is that everybody's different, and that people connect on different things. And so I feel like I see how it's a strength that I find the good in people, and then hold on to that rather than seeing the bad in them.
Yeah, that's a big one. Okay, so your second strength is individualization, and this is about like seeing the individual like potential and qualities in people. You never like sum up people as a whole group. You see them for who they are individually. So would you mind explaining like what this means for you? Just like your own personal definition. Like how do you resonate with this strength?
Yeah, like I think it's kind of similar to the, like not similar, but like there's similarities between this and the last one. Just like seeing the good in somebody and seeing like the strengths in somebody is, I think that's like what I think of this one a lot, is just like that everybody has like things about them that make them who they are, and that they can bring to the table when they're working with other people or working with populations or working on a project that has nothing to do with people. And I think that I find like I pick those things out, but I also am good at picking out how like if I'm working with someone that I'm completely different with, I feel like I'm really good at like training my mindset to being like, oh, this person's different than me, than rather than being like, I wonder what me and this person have in common and what we have different that can make us work together well. Because not having things in common is great, but sometimes having differences brings more, because you like, I'm good at this, but you're good at that, and so that's why we'd work together well, because we would just like mesh and create something better.
I get that. How do you see this like playing out for you for like the rest of college, or like you can talk about whatever, like future.
Well, my future, I want to work with like vulnerable people and people of different cultures is like my goal. So I think that works well, because I think sometimes when you're looking at other cultures, there's so many things that are different than the way you were raised and the way that you grew up, and a lot of people get scared of those things and they think of them as negative. And I think of them as a system of, it works well for them, so why change it? And I think it's really beneficial when working with those people, because I like get angry thinking about people going into different areas of the world and trying to change it, because it's not how they do things. But that's not, like, it's been working for years, and they're like that's just like the first thing I think of, because that's like my passion. So like I think it will work really well in my future, because I can like praise those people for like, I'm interested in what you're doing with your lives, and interested in the way you live and your routines and the way you treat your family members, even though it's not the way maybe I did it. But I think that's awesome, and that's individualized to you. So like, let's like not like work on it, but let's improve the way we live and everywhere. And that's like tailored to them.
I love that. That's like the exact definition of individualization. Okay.
Look at that.
I know. We can talk more about like it applying to your future in a little bit, but I love this one for you. Your third strength is empathy. Was it not recording?
No, it was just at low battery.
Oh, okay. Is it still going?
Yeah.
Or did it just start?
9:54.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. So your third strength is empathy. And
Yeah, it is.
I love this because it's not one of my topics. So I love talking about this with you. So other than like the obvious definition of what empathy is, how do you resonate with this personally?
I think that I've gone through some really difficult times in my life, and I think that that's made me who I am, and I think that's why I've created this strength, is just knowing how it feels to be, like, hurt and upset and scared and vulnerable, and I think that, just, like, going through that creates this, like, thing in my brain where I see somebody, and I see them hurting, and I just feel like I just immediately think I know how that feels. And that, just that everybody goes through hard times, and I think, like, just being empathetic in general to everybody all the time. Like, I remember just being at the lowest of my lows, and people around me, like, were taking my sadness and trying to make it their own. Like, trying to get attention from what I was going through. And that's just the opposite of what I want to do. I want them to feel like they're cared about, and that their feelings aren't for anybody else. They have the right to feel the way they want to feel. And if something that they're going through is really hard for them, and it might not be for somebody else, like, I think people in general should just, like, let them feel that way and support them and be there for them and listen to them, and not try to make it better than what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I always try to bring in a positive, but also, like, when you're trying to be empathetic to somebody, trying to make them what they're going through, being not as serious as maybe they feel, just makes things worse, and it's not empathetic.
I know, and I feel like you personally, you have the ability to, like, put yourself in other shoes. Whether they're happy, they're sad, you are really intuitive. And, like, I know for, like, me personally, you always know what's going on with me rather than my So, like, you are very conscious of how others are feeling, and that, like, it doesn't overwhelm you, but you like, genuinely feel that.
And I think sometimes, like, with empathy, though, it's hard, because sometimes it takes, like, this is what I've struggled a lot with my career, is that I want to work with vulnerable people, but I think a lot of times I take other people's hurt on myself.
It takes a toll on you.
Yeah, and it hurts myself, like, thinking about, like, my really, really close relationships when somebody goes through something, like, especially a significant other. I feel like I take that and make it my own hurt, and then it's hard to, like, remember that, yeah, you can be there for somebody, but you don't need to take on their stress and their pain to yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing I struggle with a lot, and I get that from my mother.
But there's something that, like, connects you, being able to, like, break down that fifth wall and put yourself in those shoes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So your fourth is harmony. And I just love this because it's basically you don't like conflict. And you just want everyone to, like, be on the same page and happy. So that's the obvious definition, but what do you think about harmony and how you live with this?
I just grew up so I was raised basically primarily from my father, and I literally can think of 3 times in my life I've ever been scolded or yelled at, or, like, voices are not raised, and wasn't in my household. Never. I mean, if they were, it was like, he would say something, and then 2 minutes later, he'd come in and be like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to raise my voice. I love you so much. Like, he just had the kindness to, like, and I love him for that, but also I'm like, I wish I would have, like, had to be confronted, or, like, because I'm to the point, and, like, I will just tiptoe around problems until they just build up and get worse. But I think also, like, harmony has a lot of strengths, and I think sometimes I get hard on myself because I'm like, this kind of is a weakness, because I can't have confrontation, and I sometimes can't make things better, but I do want everybody around me to be happy, and I do want the best for people, and I want emotions to be positive a lot of times. I see why it's a strength, but I still, like, this is the one that I'm like,
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can talk about that.
Cough drop.
You look at harmony being more of, like, common ground. Like, people can always go to you. Like, you know people in your life that butt heads. Me and pretty much 99% of our friends. Anyway, so you are always like the common ground for people.
That's true.
And with your empathy, you can feel their feelings. They feel comfortable to vent to you. But that harmony side, you're gonna see like both sides of the situation equally and think of a plan to strategize to like fix it because of your empathy and your harmony.
Yeah, that's true. And then it says on your like, like putting on tasks is impractical.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So it's like, I can see where you think that it's not a strength, but if you look at it from like an outward perspective, you are one of the most agreeable people I've ever met.
Yeah.
And just like so easy to get along with. And
that's true.
I think that is definitely like a huge
see, there's so many good things about this strength, but like that's the first thing I think of is conflict.
Yeah.
And I think of like my avoidance, and then I'm like, dang it. But then once I read this, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of good things in this.
Yeah. Well, I know that you've been like working on it, but what do you think about like your avoidance now? Like, do you think you've improved on it at all? Or
I do. I think that like it takes a while for me to like once I build a relationship up to the point where I feel comfortable with that person, then I can do it. But like with people that I don't know very well, I think in my work setting I've gotten a lot better at it since I've gotten a promotion, and I've had to kind of be more authoritative to people that are my age, which is really hard for me because I like to be like on stable ground with people, and I feel like me coming in as someone that your age and telling them what to do is like everybody hates that person. Yeah. You know, like that's just, and I don't want to be that person, but I feel like once I create relationships and show those other people my potential and what I do well in my job, then they have respect for me and it's better. So, and also like my close relationships, I feel like I've gotten better at it. It's most hardly with my friends, I think. Like my friends, I never want to hurt my friends, and I never want to be anything but on good terms with my friends, and so that's where I struggle the most with. But in other relationships, it's definitely gotten a lot better.
Yeah. Well, if with your friendships, where do you think that like do you think it's harder for your friends to like? Okay, let me start this over. Do you think it's harder with your relationships with your friends to like address conflict?
Yes. But also the thing is with me though is it's really hard for me to find problems within my friendships. Like I feel like I can't remember the last time I was upset with one of my friends, or like, because I think I do find the best in people, and I do find the positive in situations that like things don't really matter, like don't make me upset. So there's really nothing for me to conflict.
Yeah. So it's like nothing makes you upset, but if there was a problem like to arise between like two different people, how do you think you would? Well, I know how you would handle that, but how do you think you would handle that?
Like two people.
So if I was in a fight with one of our other friends, how would you like approach this situation? Like it's raw, it just happened, like it's in the moment. Or okay, we can even talk about something that really happened.
Okay.
Me and dumb boy. You know?
Yeah.
Like how do you see this with both sides?
I think that I think I'm good at giving advice, but I don't think I'm good at doing it in the moment. Like, okay, here, I'll give you an example. One time, my other two sisters, both my sisters, got in a fight, and it was just one of those fights where somebody said something, and the other one didn't clarify what she was talking about, and it blew up, and then the one that didn't ask went to another room and bawled, and like it was just a disaster, and there was just like harsh words thrown at each other. It was very short and aggressive, and I had to sit my sisters down. They're 6 and 8 years older than me, and I said, okay, let's talk about this. Like, can we just communicate about what we're thinking rather than yelling at each other and coming up with these things that aren't important in the moment, and talk about the situation before we just jump to conclusions and we jump to horrible words. and like I don't know where it came out of my brain, but I just mediated the situation so quickly. And the next day my sisters were like, how did you do that? You were so mature. You literally like pulled out a therapy session out your ass, and it worked so well, and we got through that situation. So like I think that in the moment I'm really good at it, but like you asking me what I would say, I'd be like, I don't know.
I know, but then in the moment you're like, you know what to do.
Yeah.
I get that.
So.
I think that came with like, I know that you are so much older than Brittany and Colby, or younger than Brittany and Colby. Do you think that's like really helped you with this, seeing like them, since you're at such a different point in your life than them? Do you think that's kind of been beneficial to be kind of like that, like seeing it from the outside?
I think that they fight a lot since they're closer in age, and they've always been in competition, and I've never been in competition. But I think that I've always like, I don't even know, like, I've always strived to be more mature and more put together and more accomplished to impress them. So I think that since I am so much younger, they're like, well, you should be at this and doing this and being this, when that's at their level and I'm way behind. And so I think like I do have a benefit of like seeing their situation from a different standpoint, since I'm working on developing my maturity and developing my skills that they already have set in stone, if that makes sense. But yeah. I don't know.
I like it. And I like what you said about developing maturity, because like the raw stage, so there's 2 stages of like strengths. It's the raw stage, which it's what it is like just in its raw form basically. So like for Harmony, the raw stage would be like a pushover, or like someone who avoids conflict or doesn't know what to say when people are in fights. You know, that's like what Harmony is when you don't know it's a strength. And then the mature side of Harmony is being that like mediator, and I think you're definitely on the more like mature side of Harmony.
My last India trip definitely matured my Harmony for sure, since I was the mediator 24/7.
Yeah. It's like you're always seeking peace.
Yeah.
And yeah, love that. Oh, okay, so we're on to our 5th one. Consistency. So this is all about you wanting stable routines in your relationships and your environment.
Yep.
You want clear rules that people can follow. You just want to know like what's going to happen, because that's always like how it's been.
Yep.
So other than that, what do you think about consistency?
Yeah, like when I'm thinking about like a semester, I think of it as like a schedule. So like instead of thinking like, oh, there's a class I'm taking, it's like, no, like this is the time I work out, this is the time that I work on my homework, this is the time that I do this. At work, this is the time we do this and this. I think my brain is just a planner, but I don't like, it's all a mindset. Like, I'm not the kind of person that's like writing out like, this is what you need to do today, blah, 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 blah. I'm just like, I have a consistent like routine of each day, and I'm really like, I think I'm stable on the day rather than like the week. You know what I mean? But then I also think about my weeks, and I'm like, whoa, this is like, and I found a lot like in my current relationship that me compared to him, I plan and he doesn't, and like it drives me crazy, because I'm like, what time are we doing this? And he's like, I don't know. And that's like, that like just irks me, because I'm like, we need to like plan this, and he's like, why? Like what's the point of that? And I'm like, I don't know, we have to.
We
like
have to plan
it's
it,
a necessity.
I have to know when it's gonna be.
And I think it's just, and also it talks about how like I immerse myself in my work, and I think that like I know that I'm always one step ahead in my job. Like I'm thinking about what I could be doing. If I sit down at work, I'm like, oh, I could be doing something right now rather than be sitting here. Which my job, a lot of it is sitting and interacting with children, but I'm thinking about all of the like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like the materialistic, not materialistic, but like the things I could be doing. Like I could be cleaning, I could be stocking, I could be, but like that's not the point of what I need to be doing right now. It's just like, that's just how my brain works. A self-starter, that's what,
Gosh, I wish I could see your top 10 strengths, because you just described like activator, and that's like what I am. is like you just want to start things
Yes.
right away, and like even if you don't know where it's going, you just want to get it.
Yeah, like when assignments come out on Sunday, I'm like, I can't like wait until Thursday to work on it. Like I have to just like get it done. Like if I have an idea while I'm reading the assignment, I'm like, well, I need to do it now because like I have my idea in my head.
Yeah.
That's definitely a thing, and I think like executing repetitious assignments, that's definitely something I like to do. Like I like to do the same thing every day. For sure.
So what would happen if you like went into, let's say, like a group project or something, and like people were all over the board and just tons of different ideas?
See, that's the thing is though, I think I work well with groups, and like I think that's where my individualization piles out, because I think about, oh, like maybe this person, and then I think of my empathy also as like, who knows what they're going through this week? Like, I'm sure they have a lot going on and that they need, like, they're going to get it done. They're eventually going to get it done. I know they will. But just not right now. It's okay. So I think, like that doesn't really necessarily bother me. I think I adapt well to, like, situation working with people.
Oh, I can see that. For sure. So I like one consistency, because this comes up again, but it's like, consistency, you like merry-go-rounds and not roller coasters. So you like that steady view of like you don't like surprises.
Yeah.
Or like
I don't mind surprises.
Or like things popping up that like you weren't expecting, maybe in like a bad way or good way.
I don't do well with those things.
Yeah.
Like getting a ticket on my car, then I like think about like, oh my god, now I'm not gonna have money to pay for this, and then I have to do that, and
it's like one thing happens and then it spirals and then it ruins your day. Yeah, the ticket is a good example. Okay, yeah. Anything else about consistency that you can see like in your daily life, like maybe with your kids?
Yeah, I mean, when you're working with 1-year-olds, it's hard to like have this kind of strength and like let the things that they want to do go. Like I have to remind myself constantly, like they're one. They don't know what it's like to sit on the rug. Well, they're supposed to sit on the rug and listen to a book. They want to go and climb on the furniture. Like, that's something I have to remind myself every single day. Like, yes, you know the routine, JC. That does not mean this 1-year-old knows the routine when their brain is not developed the way yours is. Like, that, yes, that's definitely something. And I know, like, I work on it, and I think that the people I work with, definitely the head teachers in my room, have this kind of strength. And sometimes it takes over, and they just try to control the children. And I think I've been working on it so hard lately that I'm like, that bothers me now. Like, just let them, like, if they don't want to sit at group time, let them go do something. They need to get their energy out, and that's what their body's telling them, so let them do it. So I don't know. I think, like, in work, definitely, it's like, it's so hard not to, like, just want to control everything.
Yeah.
When, like, the point of them being at school is to learn and to explore.
I think that's interesting, because that's like your individualization and your consistency working together. So like you want that kid to like have the most fulfilling time, but also like follow the rules, kid. You know?
Like stick to the routine, buddy.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, now that we're almost done, we went through all 5 and like how it's helped you in your past, but now I kind of want to talk about like how these strengths are relevant, basically. So the Clifton Strengths Assessment is really important because it capitalizes on your strengths and not your weaknesses, so you can focus on what you're good at and not what you're like not so great at, you know? And it's using these strengths for your future to like have the best possible outcome and like know what you're good at and how to handle the situation. So I want you to think of like, I know it's kind of on the spot, but like maybe a goal that you want for the next like year or 5 years, or like, so mine was super simple. It was just like getting a good internship, and I applied like my strengths to that. But yours could be like anything from like India, or like your job, or like kind of a goal. Could be long term or short term.
Yeah. Well, I could have a lot of long-term goals. I think I wanna. One soonish goal is to get into a good master's or further education program that I feel like I fit in, but also I feel like I will be able to get what I want out of it. Like, I feel like I'm still struggling with what I want to do with my future, and I think I need to focus on my strengths because I need to remember that things I want to do might not, like, they might collapse, kind of, because like the people I think I want to work with, I don't know if I really want to work with because I don't know if I'll be able to handle it. So that's why I'm always struggling with like trying to like find I know like the road I need to be on, and I know I'm on it, but I'm just nervous that like eventually I'll be like, well, this actually might not be what I'm meant to be. So, I don't know. I think just the main goal is to get into a master's program because I know the population-ish that I want to work with, but I don't know exactly what I want to do and where I want to be in that work. So I think that trying to figure that out, and also like getting the experience of like working with more people, like people from India and vulnerable communities, is something that I would like to continue to do.
Okay, so would you say that it would just be getting into like a master's program?
Yeah.
You think?
Right now, yeah.
Okay, right now. So we need to think about like how we can use your strengths to accomplish that. And it could be like the littlest things, like, you know, building your resume or like making connections or...
See, that's the thing, is I already have good connections with people, professors, and...
Okay. What strengths do you think you used to do that?
I use my developer and my consistency to, like, attach onto me wanting to have, like, so, like, for instance, my freshman year, when I started class, here, I'll plug it in too. When I started this class with a professor, she like pulled out a flyer and was like, I'm going to India. Do you want to come with me? And I literally that day called my dad and said, hey Dad, I'm going to India. And he hung up the phone. And then, yeah. And then, yeah, I was like, I'm going to India. And he was like, what? And he hung up the phone. I called him back. And I'm like, no, really, like, I really want to go on this program. Like, I'll do anything that takes to go. And so, like, the next day, I went to her office and was like, hey, this is something I'm going to do, so, like, what do I need to do to get to it? Like, how do I, like, and so, basically, like, immediately hit it off with her, and I think, like, just, like, I really tried really hard to be on my game the whole time while we were there, and, like, use my thoughts and my strengths, like, for instance, like, my individualization and my empathy with, like, the communities we worked with in India. I think that I really portrayed well my thoughts and, like, how I could work well with these people and how I understood what they're going through and how, like, we need people. It's hard to explain if I didn't go into detail, but I think I performed really well on just, like, my ideas and my behavior, and my interests were really portrayed. And so that helped me to go on to the next 2 trips. So, like, because that was the same professor. And then, like, she connected me to other people. And then I just think, like, when I find somebody I see similarities with, or somebody that I'm like, they taught this really well because they have this background, I, like, latch onto them and I want to, like, be close with them. So I feel like, and I've maintained a relationship with professors that I've had experiences with. Like, I still talk to them. They still write letters of rec and stuff. So I think, like, just I have those connections for masters. That's why I really want to know if it's the right one for me, because I know that I would have good chances with it.
We have a guest star.
Kitty. Come here.
Kitty. Kitty. Oh. Okay, awesome. So you talked about your individualization and the... Whoopsie. Keep going. There you go. Okay, so we talked about like making connections with your professors and that not working. What else do you think you'd have to do? I know this is a long-term goal, but like...
Yeah. I think I need to start fighting for myself more. I think that I let other people around me have the benefit of like, for instance, if I don't get something, I'm like, well, they deserve that. Like, they're getting the chance, I'll get my own chance. And I think like with master's programs, you need to be really, just like, you need to fight for yourself a lot, and you need to be confident and display your abilities. So I think like working on that was something I would like to work on, and I know that harmony is definitely one that I'm like, well, like I want to be on the same level as everybody, but like sometimes it's okay to be above. So I need to remember that, and I need to work hard. Like for instance, this last trip I went on, I had to like not really compete, but like you had to like, you're kind of working against each other as interns to like show off that you have good education. And I'm way younger and way less education than those girls, but I feel like eventually at the end the people we were interning for would look at me and ask for me first and see. And I think I just need to continue that, and I've kind of been like, after that trip I felt really good about myself. I was like, wow. And like my dad even said during the presentation, he was like, you're the best presentee of all the three that you were with. Like you, and I know it's my dad, but like my dad does public speaking all the time, and I'm not a public speaker, but he was like, you can tell you're really passionate, and you really like, you're really interested in what you did, and it didn't show as much in the other two people. Yeah. So like, just like remembering that I do have a huge passion for what I love and for what I'm doing, so I just need to like hold on to that and let myself get to the top rather than giving other people the opportunity before myself.
True. That's a really good insight, Jace.
Thanks.
I didn't even think about that. Like it that way. That's a really good like way to think about it. Anything else?
Maybe just with routines and stuff, like letting myself, like I have a hard time trying to maintain everything sometimes. I'm like, I really want to join this club, but that time is really not a good time for me to go. Yeah. Like that kind of stuff. Like, that's usually when I do this. And like that's sometimes I'm like, I'm missing out on things. Like there's this club I really, really love to go to, and it's on Tuesday nights, and Tuesday's always the worst day of work, and I just want to go home and eat my dinner and not talk to anybody. But like, I love this club, and I love what like they stand for, so like, why don't I just go? And it's every week I struggle with that, and I think like me being involved in that club, like people like what's the word? Like they like not voted, but they said, hey, you should run for this position. Like I was picked to be in a position I couldn't because I couldn't go to India. But if I would have been going this whole semester, I would have a chance to run again next year. And maybe I still should do that.
Maybe you should. Have you thought about like maybe just changing your schedule? Like what time's the club?
6.
It's at 6.
And I work till 5:30, which it's fine. Like I can always make dinner and just go. It's just like after being at work for 8 hours, and it's just one of those things you just want to go home and like.
What? How long does the club meeting go for?
Like 40 minutes.
40 minutes?
Yeah.
I know, that's hard. It's like that awful time where you wouldn't be able to come home before. But do you think it would be worth it in the long term to maybe make
I think
that
so. I don't know if
decision?
I can still like work for a position at this point. I don't know when the time goes. Okay, I don't know. I'm sure, but.
Well, think of it like long term. Do you think being involved in that RSO would look really good?
Yeah.
Like for grad school?
Mm-hmm. Yep. But also, I have only been home for 4 weeks, and I think I've had stuff 3 out of the 4 weeks. I think last week was the only week, and today. But today, why did I go today? I didn't think about it today because today was Tuesday, and yesterday I was sick, so I thought today was Monday.
You've been out of it, that's
okay. I've been sick. But like, next week I just need to focus, like I just need to go.
Yeah. I mean, there's only a few more weeks of school, So there's only a couple more meetings.
So go to all the meetings and then start fresh next semester.
Yeah. You just see how you're feeling.
Oh no, I have night class during that time next semester, I think.
Really?
Maybe not. Maybe it's later.
They might change it next, like change times.
Yeah. So just stuff like that, like getting involved. Like I think today I was like thinking about it at work, and I was like, I really don't do anything other than DG and work and school. Like it's just so hard because I commit so much to so much to work and so much to school that in my relationships, like I try to like spend time with people as much as I possibly can. So
yeah.
But
well, I like that. Can you like realize some like maybe like little things
oh yeah,
maybe you could do?
definitely.
Not saying you should do them, but like
It's good to think about this.
it's good to, it's good to think about the benefits that like the pros and cons. There's pros and cons of everything, but like oh hi kitty. Okay. Well Jace, thanks for a great first session.
You're welcome. We'll have to know to do this.
This is actually it.
Oh,
For
this
you.
is your first session? Proud of you.
How'd I do?
You did great.
Ah!
She did great. Woohoo!
Thanks.